Hello, this is Abi, and this is a new episode. We are going to talk about how to help a friend or a relative or somebody really you know. Could be that person could be in your office or somewhere you go to, going through depression. Is it common to go through depression nowadays? Yes, it is. How can we help them? Well, I will discuss this topic with my beautiful guests here. I will start to my right. Tricia. Hello, Tricia.
Hello, Abby.
How are you?
Hi. Very well, thank you. Hello, everyone.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
I have Dr. Farah. Hello, doctor.
Hi, Abby. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
And how are you?
Good, alhamdulillah. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. Thanks, God. We are good. Elise. Hello.
Hi,
How are you, Elise?
I'm really good. Very good, thank you.
Thank you for having us, Elise.
Yeah,
You're
thank you.
welcome, absolutely.
How can we help a friend or a relative or somebody we know going through depression or really a difficult time? Some people don't like to call it depression. Some people just want to say, it's really my challenging time. Doctor.
So, how you framed it just now is important. You know, you frame it as depression or you frame it as a challenging time. What you perceive it to be is generally what it would be, right? So that's one thing to understand and to listen. I would say start by listening to what the keywords the other person is saying, because that's going to give you a lot of clue in terms of their perspective and where they're coming from. And that's what I do. That's where I start with my clients. It's about listening to the keywords that will clue you in on their perspective, because that's the most important place to start. We can't start by what we think is happening or what we believe is to be true, right? We have to start from their starting point. So it's exactly how you frame or how they frame. By listening to what they say, it's really important, and that's where it starts.
Because to be honest, I don't like to label things, depression here, depression there, this is going through depression. How do we know?
Exactly.
I see it as a challenge. Honestly, for me, it's a time as a challenging time. If you're going through some difficulties, I mean, me and Elise, when we teach mindfulness, we don't call it depression. Might be called depression, but we rather call it a very challenging time.
Yeah.
Why? Because, as you said, it depends how do you address it as well.
Right.
A word can change so many things.
Exactly, but it comes back to the if we look at the diagnosis of clinical depression, that's one aspect of it. And I find a lot of the people who reach out to me saying that I am depressed, and when you actually go through it, they don't match a clinical criteria for depression.
True.
Right? So a lot of the times they've been struggling for months thinking that they were depressed, and what they really just needed was to learn coping
Wrong
skills.
diagnosis.
Wow.
They diagnose themselves.
They diagnose themselves as a depression, which is wrong diagnosis.
Exactly.
And then they lived those moments, 5 months, whatever, believing they are in depression.
Exactly. In reality, it's just coping mechanisms they need to learn. And first of all, it's to understand where it was coming from. And again, it comes back to that framing, right? Do they even understand what's happening in the dimensions that's their life, right? To be able to put it in the right place and to understand it better. So that's usually where we start from. And then when I realize that this is not... I have to tell them. And it's like kind of like breaking bad news as well. Like you have to tell them, well, because it's something that they believe, right? So
it's like, sorry, you don't have a depression. I'm sorry. You have
but
something else.
it's not to negate as well, right? Like I don't want them to feel that what you're going through is not real. It is real, right? But it's just not at that level. So it's more like. Good news is you aren't actually at that level of clinical depression, and we don't want you to get there. So it's great that you've reached out.
Yes,
that's the most important
Reaching
part.
out is absolutely important, and that's why we emphasize every now and then on why you should reach out, because it's an early symptoms.
Exactly.
Of might be something becoming worse.
You don't catch it.
Exactly.
If you catch it on time.
Yes, I think that depression is a very interesting concept. I do understand. I felt depressed myself in the past when I had a lonely a feeling of loss, when my first daughter left home to go to university. It was your typical empty nest syndrome. And I fell on the floor. I absolutely was the first to be shocked and surprised at just how greatly it impacted me to have her leave my care, my love, my presence, my job. I had no more job. I was left redundant. So, you know, I did have my youngest daughter who reminded me I had a job, but but you know,
That's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah, I know it's important to remember the other
a
people.
lot of me sort of went with the other one, and it didn't make it easy on anybody. But I really do relate very much to the feeling of that depressed state, and yet other times in my life that have been challenging and that are very sometimes can feel quite dark and lethargic and lacking enthusiasm for life is not what I experienced in that depressed state. It is, in fact, something a little bit more mind-driven, thought-driven, and I can find very easily moments in the day where I'm not feeling what I call depressed. And when I sleep, where does the depression go? So it's really, for me, a state of mind where I can wake up in the morning and feel a bit meh, or I can think, okay, let's just go left, right, keep moving and see how we feel. The phone may ring, a good friend may be on the end of the phone, or my mother or someone, my daughter, and all of a sudden the depression's gone, or the feeling of feeling depressed is gone. So it comes in and it goes out and it comes in. But my way of supporting someone else is to listen and to not in any way try and shake them out of it, talk them out of it, reduce it, minimize it, pretend that I know where they're at, you know, put words on what they're feeling. Oh, I think that would just be very difficult to hear. So I let them come to me, and I'm open ears. And
so what you're saying is let them express themselves and don't try to suppress them by saying, no, you don't feel that. No, let them just talk.
Absolutely. And of course, in a you know, in my business, when I receive clients, of course I approach it far differently, but I'm not going to be on duty with my friends and family, because I wouldn't have any friends and family. They'd be saying, stop psyching me. So, you know, I think it's best to categorize. But really, for my close loved ones, I really, in all situations, I lend my open ears, my open mind, my open heart, my open arms. And
so they do come to you for advice when they need it?
Well, they come to me maybe for advice, but I don't give it. Because nobody takes advice. All the advice in the world I could give you is for me, actually. But it is something that, you know, it's not always easy to hear what's going on for them, but it is important that they feel supported and heard.
Yeah,
I think it's... Go ahead,
Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Sometimes when you're listening to your friend, it's very difficult to hear their emotions, and it's very difficult for you to get involved as well and feel what they're feeling. So I think it's important as well to remember that it's not about... So if I'm with a friend or something, it's not about me. So let them talk, let them express themselves. And it usually helps, I think. Once they get it off their chest.
It helps a lot, but make sure that you don't give them tips that might ruin their life. They might go to somebody who, if somebody's going through depression or challenging time, we call it, and they go to non-professional people, and they might give them an advice which can ruin their future. Or the current status becomes even worse. I remember somebody who advised somebody during a really difficult family time to go on, unfortunately, for drinks or alcohol or drugs even. Take this tablet, you'll be okay.
Wow.
Imagine, take this tablet and be okay. And okay was the last thing this person heard. And that's it, never wake up. I never woke up, I'm sorry. But why?
And
you know what happens.
Yeah, that's the problem too. I mean, and we see that a lot in medicine anyway, where when you mix certain pills with alcohol, the outcomes are disastrous. So we should
becomes toxic.
Poison. It is, and that's why we have to be very careful. Just because something worked for you and it was prescribed by a doctor for you doesn't mean it gives you the authority to prescribe it for someone else.
So it's one-to-one
right?
cases now.
Exactly, and it's really important to know that. The other part about being supportive is, it goes beyond listening as well, right? We could make sure that the environment that the person in is safe. It is something that they feel comfortable in. I always go to food. So food.
Bring them food.
Yeah,
We remember that, actually. We remember that.
Bring them some nice home-cooked food.
Exactly, or anything at all. Even if you don't want to cook, but whatever it is, but give them something when they are ready. And it's not about forcing people to have the food, but it's just about, again, creating an environment where if food is needed, it's here. If whatever
Especially
you need,
during
it's here.
this difficult time, your appetite might not be to the peak, right?
Exactly.
It's not your best, but I agree with you. I mean, offering them something.
Sometimes maybe they haven't been out for a long time, so just taking them to a coffee shop or having a nice coffee and a piece of cake together.
So just go for a stroll, and just get them say, oh wow,
change the environment.
Exactly.
So if you go to Dr. Farah for an advice, the first thing she will do for you is cook.
Give you a recipe.
Give you a recipe.
That was not where I'm going.
For the patient or for the client to cook and come back and to test their food. Wow, depression it's a huge thing, and it's unfortunately
multi-layered.
It is multi-layered, and you're right. Actually, the more you peel it off, it's you discover more and more.
Yes.
But the question is, I always ask myself this question in doing so many things, not everything, but so many things. How did I end up here? Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I always ask myself, even before doing something, I normally ask myself, where do I want to end up? And because if I end up there, then I'm not going to look back and ask myself, how did I end up here?
That's true.
I've done my homework going back. It's like you having your own boat, and you know where you're going, you know the weather, you know how rough is the sea, you know other competitors, you know your enemies or pirates or whatever. And I know I can anticipate, and then I can start my journey. But I hope by doing all my homeworks, I will not ask myself, oh my God, how did I end up here? Even contingency plans must be absolutely thought about way before starting my journey. Imagine if you're starting your journey with a partner, not knowing enough about that partner. It's a punt. It's an adventure, and you don't know where you're going to end up. And then I don't expect somebody to tell me their story lyrically, their sad story or their depressed story lyrically. No way. So before you start your journey with him, with her, with them, just ask yourself, where do I want to end up? Start from the ending, and then come backward and say, right.
It's interesting you say that, because that's again how I believe everyone should have. When we start a company, we always we should have a vision of where we want this company.
The vision,
the vision of the company. And I think it's the same thing for ourselves. We should always have a vision of our lives, of where we want to be and where we want to go.
Right.
So sometimes it's just reminding the other person about their vision, like especially if it's a close friend or somebody who just remind them of. And subtle hints, and show them something.
Sometimes just a text, like in the morning, like, hi, how are you doing today? Like, how's your day going? Or what are you planning to do today?
It's helpful, isn't it?
Yes. I think that the depression can really feel like a complete tantrum with reality.
Yeah, that's a good
wherever I
am, to look at it.
Wherever I am is not where I want to be. I want to be over there. Or I want to be with those people, and I'm here. And so I'm fighting. I'm fighting every minute of my day. I'm fighting reality, and that is going to hurt.
Very true.
That is going
but
to
you can be very tired from it as well, and that's where the
stress is tiring.
In. Because it's a lot of emotional baggage that you're carrying, and that's again, if we couple it with all the other aspects where we're not eating well, we're not doing well, we end up being physically not being able to hold ourselves to carry through. So that's why it's important for us to get that.
That's a very valid point.
It is.
So, if you are going through depression, or you know somebody who's going through depression, help them somehow, professionally, hopefully. Whether you cook for them or you ask them to cook for you, whether you ask them to go out or do something positive. And remember, where do I want to end up and how did I end up here? I remember this quote from our very enlightened person, Mr. John Kabat-Zinn. He said, and he has a book actually titled this way actually, wherever you are, there you are. Wherever you go, there you are. And wherever you guys go, please write to us, subscribe, like, and wherever you go, you should be, there you are. Bye-bye now.